Hi, my name is Danielle Haydock, and I made $120,000 my first year as a single mom real estate investor. I started by selling homes on land contract and quickly became interested in flipping. So you've watched flipping shows, and they struck a chord in you. There's nothing wrong with that. I did too. I love Divine Design with Candace Olson. I will say, though, that shortly after I started flipping, I stopped watching those shows. One reason was because I was crazy busy, but also because I recognized how fake they are. These shows did tell me one thing, though, not to let myself be surprised by some catastrophic repair lurking under the bathroom floor. So, how much does it cost to renovate a house? In the United States, labor and materials run between $70,000 and $100,000. Then, of course, you have to add on the purchase price of the house. That's for a 3 or 4 bedroom home with 2 bathrooms. I'm not talking about what you see on the show $1 Million Listing, where the stone for the patio is imported from Italy. That number means you're replacing the furnace, the water heater, appliances, renovating the kitchen and both bathrooms, putting in all new light fixtures, doing the siding and maybe the roof, and installing new windows. How can that be? I can hear you now. I can hear all of you homeowners who have had your kitchens redone to the tune of $40,000 and have cooked on a hot plate for 2 months straight, doing dishes in the bathroom sink while your contractors scratched their head, and just took their sweet time. That's not the way a professional flip goes. Or if that's how your flips go, then you really need to take my course, because there is something amiss in your system. But let's get back to the subject at hand. The scenario I have just painted is what homeowners want to avoid. So give them what they want. A house that doesn't scream, hey, there's a lot of work that we're going to have to do over the next 5 years. What are the must-haves in a flip? Newer, clean mechanicals, updated kitchen and bathrooms. And if you think, sure, that 60s tile is dated, you know what I'm talking about. The blue and pink bathrooms, they sure knew how to put the tile in back then. It's usually in perfect shape and still as shiny as the day it was installed. And it was installed really well, which means that it's going to take a jackhammer to get rid of it. I had a rental with floor-to-floor pink tile. I sold it as is because, I knew well enough to leave it alone. That being said, there are plenty of flippers who just slap on a coat of fresh paint, ignore the fact that the furnace is 40 years old, and don't bother to change out the 70s kitchen's cabinets, and they're making money. And if that's you, all the more power to you. Personally, I flip for the forever home market. My son got married recently, and I only knew a handful of people at the wedding. But a woman by the name of Candy came over to talk, and she reminded me that I had mentored her a few years back when she was considering getting into the real estate. And she and her boyfriend had toyed with the idea of flipping. She said that for 2 years they looked at houses, but they were scared off by the interest rates that the hard money lenders were asking. Personally, I funded a lot of my flips with hard money, and I loved it. It was fast, easy, and usually didn't involve making monthly payments during the renovation process. Yeah, so interest rates were sometimes as high as 15%, but it's not like a 30-year mortgage where at the end of the loan you paid 3 times the price of the house. These loans are short-term, just a few months. So in the end, all I look at was whether or not I can make money. And with those short-term loans, the difference is just a few bucks. I use bridge loans when necessary, and they have even higher interest rates. But at the end of the day, a hard money loan closes much faster than a bank loan. So it saves time and it allows you to wait until you close on the house to pay off the loan. I felt bad for Candy because I think she could have done well. And the fact that both she and her boyfriend were in it together is a huge plus. Flipping is certainly a business where it's better to have the support of your better half, if just for the fact that once you get bitten by the real estate bug, it's hard to shake it. I mean, we become a little obsessed, and that kind of talk can become really boring to a partner who's not interested in the process. Let's say you're looking for a project. Should you get a home inspection? I don't, but I know that what I'm looking for. I actually hate home inspections. One, because home inspectors think they're contractors, and many like to quote repair costs, and most of the time they are like off the wall. Home inspections can scare off buyers, but shouldn't scare you off. One of the first home inspections I got was for a house I lived in until I could flip it. I needed to know that it was safe enough for us to live in until I got money together to flip it. The home inspector noted that the electrical box needed to be replaced because there was water leaking in from the outside onto the box. The inspector said it would cost $1,800 to replace. There were traces of rust inside the box, but 25 years before, the owners had enclosed the front porch, so the box was at least 10 feet away from any outside wall. The rust was as old as the enclosed porch, and it only cost $600 back then to replace an electrical box. There were a number of other things that he flagged, but others he should have and didn't. At that time, my insurance would not cover a living space with a flat roof, and the addition that housed one of the bathrooms and a bedroom had a flat roof. That I had to find out the hard way. It wasn't a difficult repair because the adjustment to the roof pitch was small, but the inspector should have paid attention to it. If I'm interested in a house, I will put as few contingencies into my offer as I can. Most of the time, my offers have no contingencies because I can assess what needs to be done. But if you decide to get a home inspection, just take it with a grain of salt. Becoming a home inspector doesn't take years, so how much can you actually learn in 2 months? Flipping is not for everybody, but it really is incredibly rewarding, not only financially, but from a personal perspective too. It's a big deal to take a house that needs a TLC or more and turn into somebody's safe space. At the same time, it's a time-consuming activity, and getting into it, especially your first flip, means that you have to go into a totally unfamiliar space, and it can make anyone uncomfortable. But it's no worse than feeling uncomfortable when you start at a new job. You do get used to it. You start feeling more in control as you learn the ropes, and it will become second nature. It's easier if you have somebody to help guide you through the process, though, and to show you how to plan out your entire flip, step by step. It's Your Flip will help you gather all your information about your project, and then we will lay it out in a big spreadsheet day by day from day one to the end. Then we will teach you how to get your crew and your contractors on board so that everybody follows the sequence in order and on the exact dates that you have laid out for you. Our system really takes all the guesswork out of the project so that you end it on time and on budget. I'll tell you one more thing. Every time I followed every step that I lay out in my program, I have sold my flip $10,000 to $20,000 above market in 2 weeks. And that is from my own personal experience using the system that I designed. For more information, go to itsyourflip.com or just pick up the phone and we can talk about it. 330-313-4403. Happy flipping!